Hello again, everybody. This is Mike Acosta alongside Joe Thompson with the SABR Report. Joe, welcome on in for another week.
Hello, Mike. How are you doing? We had a very interesting week, but I'm glad to be here so we can talk about it.
Yeah. Well, we're 1 week in to the 2025 season, and the Astros, we were talking a week ago, all the excitement of opening day, and now we're underway. The Astros got out of the gate, and not really what we were expecting, but we knew that there was a lot of changes with some players coming in, some new guys, some new faces, some new positions, even some new uniforms with the City Connect. And we had some unexpected things come out with Torpedo Bats and all of that this past week. So we're 7 days into the 2025 season. The Astros are 3-4. They won this afternoon. We're recording this on Thursday, the 3rd of April, and they won 5-2 in their series opener and inside Minnesota up at Target Field. Christian Walker and Jeremy Pena had a home run in that win. Jose Altuve didn't really have a great game today, did he?
No, he actually did something he had never done before. Struck out 5 times.
Yeah, how about that?
I was kind of like Jeff Blum. I was like, he was at a point. It was like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what's going on. So I don't think either of us know what's going on. He was the Astros' most consistent hitter, and then today he does this. So
you can never really anybody who tells you they have figured out baseball is lying to you. As much as you follow baseball or watch baseball, baseball will always find a way to surprise you or to give you a talking point like this on this type of show. So, he has been the most consistent hitter, and that's great. That's what you want to see. But it's cool to see that the other bats came alive today.
Yes.
And that's really what you wanted to see.
Yes, it was. I was real happy to see Christian Walker get a home run, and then the very next at bat, Jeremy Pena follow him with a home run. So back to back, I was real happy about that. And also Brendan Rodgers got into the act today. With a couple of RBIs. So I'm happy for them. They scored more than 3 runs. I mean, that's something to celebrate so far this season. So hopefully this is just a sign of things to come.
I hope so. So the Astros are now 3-4. They have some catching up to do. And I know a lot of people, I really like to gather as many wins as possible in April. I know sometimes there are fans who are out there who will say, oh, it's early in the season. They have some time. And you know what? From my experience is that the games that you don't win in April, they tend to catch up with you when you get to late August and early September when you're trying to catch up because you've dug yourself a hole. And, at some point, the Astros are going to go, all teams do this. You're going to need depth on the team because you're going to have some sort of injury. And you really want to get out of the chute. A championship caliber team is going to get out of the chute most of the time winning most series. I mean, you're not going to win every game. You're not going to win every series, but you do want to jump out of the gate with a pretty decent record. And it's not bad right now at 3-4, and they have plenty of time to redeem themselves this weekend. And they're going to be off tomorrow. There's no game on Friday.
Weird. Yeah.
Again, Altuve strikes out 5 times today, and then the Astros are off the next day. Maybe he'll come back and hit for the cycle on Saturday. You just never know.
Yeah, they had a day off Sunday and now a day off on Friday. It's just this weird scheduling, but unfortunately for Altuve, he has over 24 hours to sit there and think about these 5 strikeouts. So I'm sure he'll come back and have 5 hits or something for the first time.
And I'm sure that the weather's beautiful up there in Minnesota. And I have to wonder, I don't know for sure, but I think that sometimes in these northern cities, there's always a chance that there could be snow early on in April. So this might have been a weather day that's built into it, just to give them an extra day, get it started on a Thursday, have a day that's, has some flexibility on Friday. So that might be it. Well, we were talking about some of the injuries. I want to mention briefly, the Astros have once again shut down Luis Garcia, who had Tommy John surgery in 2023. They got a second opinion. He had come back, tried to get some action in spring training. He had some elbow discomfort, and this afternoon they said he is shut down. This is a guy who was second in Rookie of the Year voting in the American League in 21. He was 11-8, and in 22, part of the World Championship team, he was 15-8. So not exactly the news that you want to hear. You know, you want a guy like that to come back. Of course, you want him to be at full strength and healthy coming off. But when you hear elbow discomfort after he's had Tommy John surgery, and we're approaching 2 years after he had that surgery, it's not the thing you really want to hear.
No, it's not. It kind of reminds me, unfortunately, about what happened with LMJ, Lance McCullers Jr., who kind of went through the same thing. And so he's been waiting to come back. And I think he made a rehab start, and hopefully he'll be back with the team. But it seems to me that, and, you know, I am not throwing conspiracy theories out here or anything, but when it seemed like as soon as Garcia was no longer allowed to do that rock the baby move and stuff like that, that's when he started having elbow problems because of the clock and stuff like that. I'm like, oh my goodness, I hope we didn't ruin, I hope baseball didn't ruin Luis Garcia by completely changing the way he has to throw. But I'm sure that's not it. But yeah, he shut down for a month, and hopefully this is not a situation like Lance McCullers Jr. where he has to be out for, I guess this would be a total of 2 years, but because the Astros could really use him.
Yeah, definitely. Fashion. You can never have too much pitching in baseball. And, you know, there was talk back then when the clock came in, there were pitchers who were upset because they were being thrown off of their rotation and they were complaining. It's kind of weird for people like us who watch baseball, you know, in the 80s and in the early 90s and all through the 90s, when the game honestly was a lot more fluid. You know, you didn't have to tell players get back in the box. You didn't have to tell a player, hey, you have this much time before you have to pitch. It was very fluid. Those were the days where you saw an hour and a half, hour and 45-minute ball game. I remember at the Astrodome, a game would start at 7:05 and we would be done, you know, like at 9 o'clock, you know, or if we finished at 9:30, that was a later game. And you know, but things change over the years. And you know, I still believe that these clocks and all these other things, and you know, even to a certain extent with the strike zones and the automated strike zones, it's kind of a micromanaging of baseball that's happened to kind of, and I hope it's more of a course correction with the game, and hopefully not a long-term thing. I hope maybe we can train some of these young players to just move along. You know, the game's not just about them; it's about moving this game along. So I hope that has something to do with it. And I don't want to say that those clocks caused the injury to Garcia, because we don't know, but it was certainly talked about with other players.
Yeah.
Well, we also saw this week on Monday. We saw a couple of weeks ago, the Astros debuted their new City Connect uniforms. And on Monday, here it is right here. This is the hat. I don't have the jersey here, but this is the hat. And it's been a lot of people have either liked it or a lot of people say they don't like it. I mean, I dig it. I like this. I think it's kind of a cool look. It certainly has the Astros colors. It has a touch of history. It has their brand in it. And you know what it really kind of reminded me of, and I know that a lot of people don't know this, but the Astros star of the 90s is used in this design, right? You can see that, especially on the front of the uniform, the open shooting star of the 90s, but it's in a orange gradient color on the new City Connects. Back when the Astros were going to that design in 1993, before 1994, I saw some video in the Astros archives where they were on the field in the Astrodome wearing that uniform, but it was an orange star and it was blue instead of that midnight blue. They were going to use the new marks with that open star, but it was not going to be gold and midnight blue. It was going to be navy and orange again. And that was really interesting. And I've actually seen some of these logos and with that color scheme. And when I saw this, and I'm pretty sure that's not what they did here, but this kind of reminds me of the 90s logo that almost was. And here we are now with the City. So what do you think of City Connect?
I didn't really like I like the old ones, but the old ones kind of look too much to a point. I don't know. but I really liked that because I like that whole Space City connection.
Yeah.
And the new ones, though, I thought I didn't think they could improve that much on it, but I think they really did. I mean,
Yeah.
there's that blue look in it, and if you look at the batting helmets, they're almost a lighter blue. It's more blue in that in the batting helmet. But I really like it. Some people say it looks like a softball uniform. I don't think that. But I appreciate it, and I like the star in the hat, and I like the Stros across the front. They took the A out, so I like the Stros because I think it goes well. It's sort of the nickname that you hear with the Astros. I know I've been saying it for years. Go Stros, that kind of stuff.
It brings up a really interesting topic. When the name change took place to the Astros for the 1965 season, they announced in late 1964 that the name was going to go to the Astros. There were a lot of fans who did not like the Astros name because they felt that you couldn't shorten the name without it being in bad taste with the AS on the front of the name. So there were actually groups that were out there that said, call them the Houston Tros. They didn't even put the S on there. It was TROS. And it was like refused the new nickname and everything. So it's interesting to see now. Here we are 60 years later since the team switched the name from Colt 45s to Astros, and it finally says Stros on the front. And also too, the downtown buildings during the at least in the 2017 World Series, it actually said Stros on the buildings. You remember the building lights, the windows that were lit up in honor of the Astros as they were in there. So I think it's a clean look. And you know what? City Connect does what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to provide a kind of a connection to the city. And obviously that's why it's called City Connect, but it gives the teams an opportunity to have new marks without having to change their primary marks, so there's some fun to it, and I like that it's clean. I think it's a clean look. It has some history. It has the brand in it. And then the hat too, we're going to bring that hat. That hat reminds me of the prototype a little bit that they had in 1975 where the star was inset to the A. I know a lot of people have talked about it looking like the Arizona Diamondbacks, but an A is an A. And I said online yesterday, day before, in Houston, the A means Astros. It doesn't mean Arizona. So,
that's right.
So, everybody can have their opinion and they're entitled to it. So have you gotten one of the hats or jersey or anything like that?
No, I haven't got one of the new ones yet, but I do plan on, Father's Day is coming up here pretty soon. So hopefully my kids can get one. And my birthday a couple months after that. So hopefully somebody will give Dad and Grandpa.
I hope so.
I am looking forward to it. So.
Well, the other thing that has come out over the week, and I think has just come out of the blue, are the Torpedo Bats that the Yankees had, and the barrage of kind of a home run derby that they had at Yankee Stadium last week, and now it has caught on. Now, I will say there was a lot of talk about, hey, is it cheating? Is it legal? The Major League rule, I have it here, a bat for Major League Baseball shall be a smooth, round stick, not more than 2.61 inches in diameter at the thickest part, and no more than 42 inches long. Now, that doesn't say where the thickest part of the bat should be. Traditionally, we're looking at the barrel of the bat, more towards the end of the bat. But, with these scientists that the Yankees have apparently hired, they move the thicker part of the bat down away from the upper part of the barrel. What do you think of all this?
Well, I was one of those that kind of had a lot of fun with it online.
Yeah.
Because, sort of the stirring the pot kind of stuff. And, but the more I think about it, I like the idea, it's innovation, but I also said, and this was before I'd done as much research as I'd done over the last couple of days over Torpedo Bats. But my whole thing was, why wait till the regular season to debut these? Why not show these in spring training? And so my thought was, are you trying to hide something here?
That's exactly what it is.
By the way,
exactly what they were doing.
Here is this. And so I was like, don't y'all think that's a little shady or something like that? Or,
no, that's, having that competitive, finding a loophole and having that competitive advantage, right?
I guess
it's why we have all those regulations on iPads and everything else, and where television monitors are in the dugout, in the tunnel and all that. They found a loophole, and if it was illegal, they know that they would get in trouble. And Marucci, who is the official bat of Major League Baseball, they would not do something that is against the rules. They're not going to put that contract in danger that they have with the league. So, they found, I'm calling it a loophole. I don't think it's cheating per se. It is changing the dynamic of the power.
Right.
But, and some people say, hey, we love to see home runs, and, everything has gone towards the pitchers and everything else. And the pitcher is the first line of defense. And yes, a lot of people love to watch home runs and see the excitement, and a lot of people who come to ball games. I know that going back to the Astros at one point when I was there, we knew that there were 6 different types of Astros fans that were coming through the gates at the ballpark. And part of those fans are the people who are not the diehards. They're the people who get free tickets. The people who are there to they don't usually go to a ball game. They're going to take social media pictures. It's an event for them. So these bats, they weren't done for that. They were done for winning purposes for the Yankees. But they may have that effect on those fans, where people maybe who are fair weather, if you so to speak, they might become bigger fans if they see more action. Now, to the baseball purists, you want to see a balance of what the pitchers and what the hitters are doing, and you want to have some integrity on there. But again, the rule states no more than 2.61 inches at the thickest part, but it doesn't say where the thickest part should be. So there's that.
I heard Ella De La Cruz was using a torpedo bat in Cincinnati, and when he started using it, he started hitting home runs. I heard stories that maybe John Carlos Stanton was kind of using something like this last year, but these are stories. And then, I hear Joe Espada, coach for the Astros. Yeah, we'll order some. What's the use? I like the way it looks. So,
yeah.
I again, my whole thing is, could you imagine if the Astros were the ones that pulled these out on day one and started hitting all the home runs, and then what would you hear around the league? Oh, here we go again. But but my whole thing was like, since the Yankees do it, the national media is all, oh yeah, it's great and this. But again, if the Astros would have done this, I mean, what would be going on around the league? That kind of thing. So,
in a way, the Yankees have been. They've been pioneers in a lot of things and doing things first before anybody else.
Oh, yes,
I'll
they
let
have.
you read between the lines on that.
Yes, they have. Anyway,
so Torpedo Bats, we'll see if they're here to stay. I think that we're probably going to see a change. They're going to become collectible. Maybe we are going to see something. Maybe not. Maybe it's a trend. I don't know. But they are very interesting, at least for right now. So tell me. The SABR Group, the Larry Dierker Chapter here in Houston. You are the president. There are some things coming up. I know on April 12th, you have an event that you are going to be doing at Constellation Field.
Yeah, we are. Like I said last time, Tal Smith is going to come talk to us about his time with the Astros. He's going to talk to us about the Astrodome, and then we're going to sit there and watch. After he talks. We're going to watch the Space Cowboys play against the Albuquerque Isotopes as a group. Then in May we're going to go back to our regular spot at Spaghetti Western on Shepherd, and we're going to have 2 presentations that night. One of our chapter members is going to do a book review. He's going to talk a little bit about Walter Johnson and Christy Matheson, and I'm also going to give a presentation about one of my fondest memories of the Astrodome is the Jimmy Jones MLB debut in 1986, Astros versus the Padres. It was a game I was at personally. A lot of interesting things happened in that game. So that's kind of what we got on tap. And then finally, we're kind of ramping up and getting ready to go to our national convention in Dallas, June 25th to 29th. There's going to be a lot of great speakers at the SABR National Convention. Pudge is going to be there. Bruce Bochy is going to be there. Quite a few people. It doesn't really cost that much to actually go and get a all-inclusive package. I think we're also going to go to a Rough Riders game in Frisco. We're also going to go to a Rangers game. And that'll be kind of fun if we can have a big contingent of Astros people go there, because it'll be Rangers versus the Mariners that night. So it'll be a lot of fun if we just show up in our Astros gear at SABR night. At a Rangers game. So, and then we're going to get together as a group like we always do and go out to dinner. So we got a lot of cool stuff coming up. We're going to have a newsletter, another edition of our newsletter coming up. Larry Dierker is writing an article about an Astrodome memory and plus some other stuff. So a lot of cool stuff coming up for the SABR group. That's
fantastic. And one note, just to remember, when Tal Smith speaks to the group on April 12th, the unique thing and the interesting thing is to ask him, hey, what was going through your mind? Because April 12th, 1965 was the opening day. The first opening day in the Astrodome. They had opened up the Astrodome on April 9th, but they were playing the Phillies on April 12th. And, that was the very first official Houston Astros game as a regular season ball game. So it would be quite fun to hear what he says about that.
Wow, I'm going to have to remember that. Okay, so that'll be the actual anniversary date, April 12th. Right.
Yeah, of the very first official opening day in the Astrodome. The Astrodome opened on April 9th, and that's kind of the birthday of the Astrodome. But the very first official regular season game of the Houston Astros happened on April 12th, and they played the Phillies that night. And then it was interesting because in '65 they played that one game, and then they went out on the road. they opened up the Astrodome. They went out on the road. And I think that was kind of by design because they had some things to do with the Astrodome. One of the things that they did was painting the roof back then. But I think it was also built in because they had played the first set of exhibition games over the weekend on April 9th, 10th, and 11th. They had played 5 games between the Orioles and the Yankees, and it was kind of a test run for that Monday night, April 12th game. So, I'm sure he's going to have a lot of anecdotes about that. And it's always amazing to hear Tal Smith talk about any type of his experience in baseball.
Okay. I'll have to remember that.
Yeah. Well, Joe, I appreciate you joining us this week again on the SABR Report. Look forward to possibly bringing on another guest as well. We have some interesting people that we're going to bring from the group. So I look forward to that happening here real soon. Anything else that you want to tell us with the SABR group before we head out?
If anybody's ever interested in coming to a meeting or anything like that, feel free to email me. Go to sabrhouston.org. If you have an Astrodome memory that you would like to share, you don't have to come to a meeting. You could just email me your story or something like that, or if you have a video or something, just let me know. We're always looking for. Even if it's not about the Astrodome, if you're just a baseball fan and you just want to talk baseball with a bunch of people who are baseball fans as much as you, just, feel free to email me and we'll get you in touch and maybe get you out to a meeting or something, or we can just send you to our YouTube page where you can watch meetings going all the way back to 2020. So
that's right. That's Joe Thompson.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's Joe Thompson, the president of the Larry Dierker Chapter, the Houston chapter of the SABR organization here in Houston. Find them online at sabrhouston.org. For Joe Thompson, I'm Mike Acosta. Thanks for joining us on this week's SABR Report. Till next time, so long, everybody.